Hey there everybody, I am John Nash with Ukulele Inspired. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Insight. Today I want to get a little bit more in depth into the second important element of music, which was harmony. In our first Insight video, we defined harmony as being more than one note happening simultaneously. In the case of the ukulele, usually we're talking about chords which have four voices or four notes happening simultaneously. If we take any chord, let's do an easy one, C chord, we can just break it down into a combination of certain notes. This is from top to bottom. We're talking about G, C, E, and C. I like to think of music as being a language. So in our language, what we do is we take individual letters and group them together to form words. And then we take those words and we group them together to form sentences in order to make statements or be able to relate ideas. I think we do the same thing in music. What I like to think about is each individual note, we can group them together to form chords. Each of these chords is like a word, and they all have different flavors. We can play major chords, we can play minor chords, 7 chords, suspended chords. We can get all different kinds of chords. So if we extend this metaphor a little bit further, we can group these chords together in order to form musical sentences or musical phrases. The term that we use for this group of chords, or this musical sentence, is what's called a chord progression. Chord progressions are really important in music, and any song that you try to learn or any song that you try to write is going to be made up of a certain number of chord progressions. Why is this idea so important to us? If we can use this concept when we're trying to learn a song, it can make our job a lot easier. I want to talk a little bit about the song sheets that I make for my website and song sheets in general. People seem to like them. I want to be honest, I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with song sheets. I think that they can be really great tools to be able to kind of learn a song quickly, to be able to play along with somebody for the first time and you don't really know a song, but all too often I think that song sheets start to become crutches for people. Instead of using them as more of a reference, they start to kind of rely on them in order to play a song. In order to really know a song, in order to be able to fully enjoy a song while you're playing it, I think you need to have it memorized. The first time you look down at a song sheet, I can see why that can be a little bit intimidating, because there's 30, 40, maybe 50 chord changes that are on the sheet, plus a bunch of lyrics I have to memorize, so it can seem daunting. But if we apply this idea of chord progressions, what we actually see is that the song is made up of 1, 2, maybe 3 different chord progressions that repeat throughout the song, which can make our job of memorizing it a whole lot easier. So let's try and apply this idea to a song sheet that I made a little while ago. It's Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison. You can find it on my website under the songbook, or you can also find a link to it below. When I first see a song sheet, what I'm looking for is a repeating pattern of chords. I'm looking for the chord progression. If we look at the verse, what we can see is that this pattern C, F, C, and G. Another clue is that most chord progressions happen in cycles of 4, the same way the constant pulse in music happens in cycles of 4. Chord progressions usually come in groups of 4. So C, F, C, G. This chord progression repeats 4 times, then on the 5th line it changes. It goes to F, G, C, A minor, F, G, C, and C. So if we follow that rule that our chord progression is going to happen in groups of 4, then this is 2 different chord progressions. But really, if we look closely, it's the same progression. It's F, G, C, and the first time we play A minor, F, G, C, and then the last time we play C. So I like to think of this as being the same musical statement with a different word that we end with. If we look down a little bit further, we see that the chorus, the part that goes cha la 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 la, is the same progression as the verse, so that makes our job a little bit easier. We just have to remember that before we do each chorus, we have to play 3 measures of G. So when we look at the song this way, then it's really only 2 progressions that we need to memorize. We need to memorize C, F, C, and G, which is the main progression, that one that happens in the verse and the chorus. And then we need to memorize the bridge progression, which is F, G, C. The first time we end, it's A minor. F, G, C. The second time we end, it's C. So that makes our job of memorizing the song a lot less daunting. So give it a try. Take a song sheet that you're not that familiar with and see if you can break it down into its chord progressions and see how long it takes you to memorize those. Next week, I'm going to get a little bit more into melody, the last element we talked about in our first video. Until then, I'm John Ash with Ukulele Inspired. Thanks a lot for watching.